How you doing, guys? Welcome to Monsters and Mazes. I'm your host, Mr. No One. All right, today is day one of Hexplore24. I've got a lot of stuff in front of me. Don't worry, you don't need all of this. In fact, you don't need any of this. You could do virtually all of it digitally if you wanted to. I think I mentioned that already in the original video. Now, the reason why I have all this stuff is because I am not entirely sure like what particular genre I'll end up doing. I'm going to roll for that. Basically, I'm going to base it off of what kind of climate I've got. So if I roll either like temperate climate or subarctic climate, I'm probably going to be doing like a Conan style sword and sorcery. If it's jungle or desert, I'll probably doing Warriors of the Red Planet, or basically a Barsoom Egoras Bros style game. I have no idea. Also, I did want to mention this. If you do choose to get like something like a physical something to write down in, it is a good idea to grab yourself a diary. You know, especially one that breaks it down, you know, each day. So that way, when you flip through your pages, you got, you know, day one right here, Monday, January 1st, and you have this much room to play with. It keeps you from giving up too much information, or at least so it's a basic flip through. So that way, you just basically put highlights, and then you can, you know, further it down the road on something else. But it kind of keeps you from wanting to go ahead. The idea is that you are going to be doing it one single day per day. I'm going to show you how that works today. Like in real time as I do it. So if the characters come across any kind of encounters or features or something interesting, I'm going to play it out. So I can at least show you what I'm not going to say a typical day because I have no idea what today is going to bring. And I won't know what tomorrow is going to bring either, which is kind of cool, really. All right. I'm a little nervous, I ain't gonna lie. Okay, so I'm going to give you a top-down version of what this ends up looking like. That way you can kind of follow along. All right, let's put your camera over. All right, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to roll for the climate. 79. 79 is arid. All right, so Warriors of the Red Planet is... Okay, give me a minute. I'm gonna go and roll up some characters. All right, so now that I've rolled up 4 characters, they are very specific for Warriors of the Red Planet. While I was doing that, I was kind of toying with the idea of like, this is supposed to be more or less a, like it's science fantasy sword and planet style game, and it's set in the Red Planet. You can also call it Mars or Barsoom or whatever it actually we end up calling it. I actually want to probably think of like maybe it is Barsoom, but thousands of years before the advent of like John Carter and all that kind of fun stuff. That way we can kind of keep the alienness, but we don't have to worry about, I guess, impinging on like an already established setting with like John Carter and all that kind of stuff. Anywho, it's neither here nor there. It's just a thought process in my head. Okay, so I did end up rolling one of each class, but now with Warriors of the Red Planet, there is a separation between races and classes, so there's no, unlike a lot of like OSRs, like Old School Essentials, where they have race as class, this doesn't do that. There is distinct separation. Anyway, so I ended up rolling randomly, like because there's I think 7. Here's 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, there's 5. I just rolled a d6, and then if I rolled a 6, I would just re-roll it. I didn't have to worry about that, thankfully. All right, so the first one I ended up rolling was human. The blaze scores came out really nice. And this is I ended up choosing this one as a fighting man. Of course, he's human. He is a red human. Each, like within the red planet, or on the red planet, the races of human come in different colors. Like literally, like, you know, red, yellow, green, that kind of, you know, primary color. You know, what is it? They have black and they have white, but it's like the literal color of black and the literal color of white. Kind of, I guess, albino-ish? Therns, like a better term. Anyway, not really worried about that right now. So we have classes break down into, there's four classes that you can more or less choose from, and they have a fifth class that is still a class you can take, and I may actually mess around with it. But the classes are Fighting Man, Scoundrel, Mentalist, and Scientist. The fifth one is the Sorcerer of the Black Gate, which is, it just sounds cool and has just enough of a twist to it to make it you want to play it. And that's the fun of this, is that if I have an opportunity, I can. Not to mention I can play any of the classes that come in Old School Essentials, such as like Assassin, Acrobat, because if you know anything about stories regarding you know, the exploits of John Carter, you know that there are things like assassins. That's a thing. To which there are, of course, in the advanced fantasy, in the playable classes is, of course, assassin. Kind of like that idea too. Why you would have an assassin adventuring on an adventuring party? Who knows? All right. Anyway, so I got one of each, except with the exception of the Sorcerer of Black Gate. So you have the Fighting Man, it's human. It's a red human. Then we have a Scientist, which is an ancient. His name is, I'm not going to Ptormed. And you know, his scores came out, yeah, they're okay, they're not fantastic. There's a little bit of lore you can actually add to this kind of stuff if you're like going through it and uncovering some of it. We have Haj Uljat, which is a red human, and this is our Scoundrel. Scoundrel is basically a thief, for lack of a better term. That's pretty much their primary role, is they are like a thief class. And then we have Khem, the Unliving. The Unliving are, they're created, right? They could be clones. They're made in vats, things like that. This one is the Mentalist. Mentalist is basically a psionics class. Psionics class. And they have a whole host of abilities, which are actually pretty nice. This one actually had the better scores, honestly. I was very surprised. And like the saving throws, ooh, I forgot the saving throws. I know I forgot something. I will get them later. All right. I need to jot down the saving throws. The saving throws are a little different compared to what you would normally come across. They're very specific. You know, things like explosions and, you know, mentalism, energy, poison, and falls, and they even have a generalized saving throw within the system. So that's kind of like default in case I don't remember what it was that I need to be rolling. Anyway, I like the tables in this one. Lots of tables. So whenever we're actually going through all this fun stuff, they include, you know, a name generator, ruins generation, which is good because that's an option. You know, different things. Also, in 7 Voyages of Xylarthan. We'll go with that. All right. There are tables that are very, 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 very Barsoom. Yeah, there we go. These ones right here, you know, you'll see it: black Martians, red Martians, white Martians, yellow Martians, so on and so forth. So I may be using this one as well, as far as table, and of course the requisite monsters are in there. I just kind of think that was nice. If you don't know, Seventh Voyage of Xylarthan. Anyway, this is pretty much a neo clone of the original Dungeons and Dragons, which original Dungeons and Dragons included a lot of the Burroughs, Mars kind of stuff in it, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I've got all that. I've got characters. I also found handy dandy. I've got the castles and citadels from Judges Guild. I actually have a whole booklet. The castles book, the first one, or second one, and flipped through it and found this one. It looked kind of nice. I figured it would kind of fit, and we're calling this Mtor. That is the town. That is Mtor, and at one point in time during the year, I will more than likely populate this just so that I can have it for future reference. Alrighty then. All right, here we are. This is probably the most intimidating thing about the whole mess, is this blank. It's just blank. Anyway, so I figured out that we are going to be starting desert, so now I have to figure out what direction we're going to go in. All right, roll percentage. All right, 2. All right, that means that we are going to go south. Wow, it's like the demonstration all over again. Okay, I can live with that. All right, so that means we're going to put my little town right there. Works for me. All right, now let's figure out what the actual terrain of that hex is. So we know we're going to be doing. We're working off of the arid. So what we do is we're going to roll a d6 and a d20. The d6 is basically there are 6 like terrain types, and then d20 will determine whichever one we fall on the 6. We roll d20, figure out what the actual hex is. All right, what do we got? So we got 4 hills, and 7 is of course hills. So we are at the first thing we do. Of course, these are just all right. That's it. Now, the characters are provisioned out for a week's worth of travel. So my goal in this first week is to demonstrate each day, and that means that I'm going to pay attention to like rations, how many rations, well, it's called provisions in this one. They're dry provisions, are good for, the duration of the trip. Fresh provisions, I think, only last like a day. So they have to be consumed that day. All right, hunting is still an option. Not much of an issue with that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So they're gonna go 3 days out and 3 days back. All right. That's the idea. Okay, so first we're going to figure out, once again, which actual direction they're going to head to. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, that will, 6. Okay, so we're going to go in this direction, that way. All right, now what I do is I'm going to roll on the hills table to figure out what the next hex will be. All right, then I'm going to show you guys. So it's then after I do that, I'm going to roll the d8. Right, d8 of course is so it's d8 minus 1. So basically, it's on a 1 or a 2, we end up having a feature, and for hills, well, for whatever the next hex is. Roll a d12 for the encounter, if there is an encounter, and depending on the hex will depend on whether or not we actually have an encounter. For arid, it's usually depending on what it is. If it's mostly moderate, with one, like dunes are difficult. It's basically a 1 or 2, most likely on that will actually end up with an encounter. If it's in the dunes, then I have a 3, you know, 1, 2, or 3, and I'll have an encounter. All right, so I'm gonna roll them together. It just makes it easier. And let's find out if anything happens. All right, well, no encounters, no encounters, no terrain features, but we do have just 12, so we go to 12 on hills, and that is mountains. All right, now, mountains, all right, take about 4 hours to actually get there, okay? Maybe this was set up on like maybe a ridge or something. I may end up doing it to where, yeah, it's like, that's actually advantageous. Maybe there's a whole ring of mountains. I have no idea. But for right now, I haven't quite figured out what my separation is going to be. I haven't really put that much thought into it just yet. So far we have mountains, and it's going to take, like I said, about 4 hours to cross. So there are 10 hours of daylight that I have where I live right now. So that will give me at least another 6 hours of traveling. So it depends on what the next hex is going to be. All right, we're going to continue on in the same direction. And no encounters. We have a 10 that still saves mountains. All right, that technically is, we can push it and get it. Hopefully this next hex ends up being something akin to something easier to traverse. If not, then we will get into some, well, I'm gonna say we're not gonna get into any kind of negatives because we can travel up to 15 hours. But through the mountains, you're gonna be using torches. They only got 3 torches apiece. So that's gonna matter. And the torches last, I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe they're an hour. All right, so let's find out and see whether or not next hex is gonna be the same. Oh, look at that. It is the same. So we have mountains. We have a 2. That means they're gonna have an encounter at night. And let's find out what the encounter is. All right, so I have options. I can go and look on the encounter here in the mountains. That won't help me much, at least as far as this is concerned, because this is geared more towards classic fantasy. So I'm gonna go to the what do we got here? We got Hills Mountains. All right, I'm gonna roll D100 to see what those are, and then we'll go through procedure of encounter distance and all that kind of stuff. All right, 20. 20 is the great. it's the great albino ape. All right, so if you're familiar with, yeah, it's a 6-armed. Actually, they have an actual. There you go. This guy right here. All right, so here we go. All right, now, first thing I'm going to do is I am going to refer to, there we go, this bad boy here, because they also have the white apes in here. And if I remember correctly, it's somewhere, it's a W. I think it actually is. Wizards, witches. That's kind of neat. And yeah, white apes. Okay. It's more or less the same as far as like attacks and things like that. But it also has, I'm looking for number peering. Okay. It is not in a layer, so it's percentage layer about 80%. We're not worried about it. A layer, so it's 1 to 6. All right, so we're gonna figure out how many of these guys there are. 1 to 6. 2. Oh, joy. All right, there's 2 of them. All right, now it seems like a bit I'm doing. We're gonna do that right there. We're gonna grab handy dandy. All right, now I may have mentioned this in the previous video, but I grabbed the monster reaction chart from the actual basic red box, kind of because I like that it has a little bit more to it than just a straight up like the 2d6, like just the simple 2d6. I kind of like the fact that yes, this is still 2d6, but it also allows for a bit more, you know. All right, so let's find out if anybody is surprised Yeah. All right. Party. The White Apes. I have the absolute worst luck when it comes to surprise so far. That is the third or fourth time I've done surprise, and the party is surprised. Great. All right, encounter distance. So encounter distance is 46 times 10 yards. We have 10, 13, 130 yards. Okay. That's a bit. 130 yards. We will go ahead and roll initiative just for right now. And because that's what the instructions say. So when we actually do resolve after surprise, it's a tie. Now, I re-roll ties. Okay. Just because it makes it a lot simpler for me because I'm doing this by myself. So re-roll ties. All right. The White Apes will have it. So they'll get technically a surprise round, and they have the initiative. All right, monster reaction table. All right, so here's where we're gonna sit there and do this. They may just leave us alone. We'll find out. All right, monster reactions. Watch me roll 2. 7. Okay, now this actually I'm gonna add the highest charisma. So who has the highest charisma? I understand they're not talking to them. But because White Apes can't speak, we have a 14, a 15, which is comparable. But I think, yeah, actually they got really good charismas, except for the scientist, which is really fun. Okay, so we have +1 either way. That makes it an 8. That is still uncertain. There's no real help. Okay, so we're gonna roll. Maybe they're friendly. Who knows? Another 2d6. Oh. Hey, what do you know? Friendly. Okay, cool. Uncertain. I can deal with this. That basically means that the White Apes, they're a good distance away. They're maybe they've got some kind of cave that they want to be in. Maybe they have a lair. Not really worried about it because they're not giving any indication that they even see the party, or at the very least they're indifferent. I guess it's possible that the actual the group just didn't come near enough to them to cause any real issues. Okay, I can live with that. I'm fine with that. All right, and that's it. I mean, it is that simple. Now what I do is I can, after this, I simply annotate the, for one, what I am gonna do is I'm gonna keep a record of like characters. And so that way, you know, maybe at the end of the year, I have, you know, an entire populated, like tons of different characters. That would be nice. We'll see what happens. All right. And yeah, see, I got plenty of room to put that. Okay, so what I'll do is I annotate as much information as I need to. So it's like the fact that the city, the city is this. I'll put maybe the characters, what the hexes they actually looked at. I will put down that there was an encounter. We'll put this right there. And that will indicate that what it was and what the result was. They were far enough away. Turns out they were friendly, and there was no problems. Now, if it had changed, if it was something different, if it was, I rolled, say if I rolled really, 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 really bad, then I would play out the encounter right here. This is actually gridded, which is really cool. I like this. Must demo. So basically, yeah, you can just, that's so neat. Anyway, thought that was kind of cool. And yeah, that's really it. After this, we wait till tomorrow. That's just how fast it can happen. Some days you'll have, like each and every hex could be, a feature or an encounter or both. Whatever, and you simply play it out, whatever it is. A lot of it, gets done using this, like the what's, and then you can go and look. For the first maybe week, or actually probably the first month, I'm gonna have the party, you know, do expeditions out into this arid wasteland environment to see what they can see. Maybe there's some ancient cities or what have you. I have no idea, but that's what makes it really cool. And I honestly do like the fact that like in here, the ruins, the flavor for them is amazing. Plus you have weird science, which is kind of cool. Use that as treasure. But yeah, like just the ruins, and it has different ones. I like that, you know. What is it? Massive humanoid skeleton pinned to a hillside with silver spikes. I mean, come on. You gotta admit, that's kind of cool. Featureless crimson stone cube that seems to throb gently. That is interesting. Just all kinds of neat stuff. And it goes on. You have a whole bunch of this. Now, if you were to do, you could, not for this, but there's also a random adventure generation, which is really neat. It gives you just, that's it. You have like mission, location, chief adversary. It's just, the weird science stuff is really neat too. And basically putting that as treasure as opposed to, there's no magic items, but there's the, oh yeah, here's the sorcerer thing. There's weird science, so that's kind of neat. Anywho, yeah, turns out that was fairly short, and that's fine. You're gonna have days like this, but that's 3 hexes in. All right, well, so, oh yeah, I told myself I almost forgot. Now, what I'm gonna do right here, all right, I'm going to roll a d6, okay? We'll put all this away. And that d6 is going to make the determination on what direction the party is going to actually travel. This somewhat simulates the way players would get together before a session and tell the, you know, dungeon master, hey, we're gonna go in this X area. So d6, and then tomorrow I'll roll a d10 and figure out whether or not they end up being lost. So that keeps things random. That way I'm not really like choosing directions. They're being chosen by the dice, which is kind of neat. All right, so D6. Okay, and the way it works is I'm looking at it. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, now if they happen to go, you know, 6, then we'll figure out why, because chances are there's a reason. 3. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Actually, look at that. They're still going in the same direction. So I'll put a small indicator telling me that that's the direction they're going in, and we'll figure out whether or not they get lost. That's it. Thanks for watching. See y'all in the next one.